Hi guys. So we already know that we're constantly making decisions, like millions of them a day, right? From tiny little ones to like life-changing ones, because we know that without making decisions, we can't make progress. We can't even get out of bed or have anything for breakfast. And today we wanted to share with you some ideas and also different perspectives on how to make decisions. And as always, we will be addressing this topic from both sides, from organizational, how organizations make decisions, and that's Sarita's going to step in there, and also from personal side. So I just want to share with you a little story. Last week, I was in Belgrade. I was speaking in a Disrupt HR event, and I had a few hours to go and explore the city. So I set off to this Temple Sava, I believe. I'm probably not pronouncing it right. And it's the biggest Orthodox temple in Balkans. Now, it was really hot. It was a long walk. And to be honest, like I had no clue why I was even going there, because there were so many other places I wanted to see, and I wanted to shop, and I wanted to have coffee. And I only had like half a day, but I just like knew I had to go there. So I thought, okay, fine. I'm just going to trust it and get to this temple. By the time I got there, I was absolutely shattered. So I found the stool and I sat on a stool, took my phone out to check the messages. And then I heard people next to me speaking in English, which is actually was like the only English speaking tourist I heard the entire day. And I just turned around to this lady next to me and I said, hi, are you from England? And it turned out they actually don't live too far from me. There were a couple in the 70s who have traveled the entire world. Literally, there is like no place that they haven't been. And then as our conversation went on, I asked her husband, I'm like, what do you do? Or what did you used to do? And he told me he was a trader and also an investor. So he obviously dealt with large sums of money. He worked with the likes of CEO of BMW and many other high-level leaders. So he traveled the world. And he said, a lot of my work was literally based on making decisions, like investing money, taking money out when it's the right time. And he said one wrong decision could have ruined my career. And because I'm so passionate about decision making and leadership, and especially, when it comes to how people are literally wired to make decisions, of course, I had to dig deeper. And I asked them, I said, so when you made a decision, I said, how did you make them? Did you just look at the facts, at the data, at feedback, or was there something more? And I didn't use the word intuition. I just wanted to kind of probe it a bit. And he looked at me and he said, I always trusted my intuition. I almost felt like he was telling me off. And I just felt this like glow within me, because I thought that's why my intuition told me to go to that church, so I could actually have a conversation with someone like this guy. And he said to me, he said, I always looked at the data, I always looked at the fact and the feedback. But he said, when it came to make decisions, to invest, to take money out and things like that, I always trusted that pull, that something more than just came to my logical mind. And he said, he had a very successful career. And then his wife turned around, and she was actually one of the first women in UK to attend a university. She started engineering like back in 60s, and she was very high up in her profession. And she said, intuition is everything. She said, so many times in my team, people were afraid to make decisions that they didn't know, do you go left or right, to make a mistake. And she said, I always said, we'd rather make a mistake and then we learn from it. And we know that in the future, we'll do things differently. So it was just such an interesting conversation for me to have with these two highly successful individuals who now obviously retired, or need to maybe, make such big decisions, but they're just living this incredible life, and just to hear their perspective. And, that's why I wanted specifically to talk about on this topic, because it also came up in my presentation and my keynote in Belgrade, and also the one I did yesterday in Hotel Summits, the power of our intuition and actually what intuition is. But before I explain, actually, I'm going to ask Sarit here, because Sarit, she already introduced herself in a previous video that's pinned up at the top. She used to be a CEO of a global organization. She took a company up to $30 million. So Sarit, just share with us also, like when it came to make decisions. I remember once you told me you used to fold laundry to kind of like get away from, busyness, from overthinking. Was that like one of your practical methods to help you make a creative decision?
So, you were telling the story and so many things came to mind, and I knew you were going to ask me that. So I have to say that for me, It was always about my purpose. I was a CEO of a company, and I believe that I'm changing people's life. We did software, and it's in the IT. I know it doesn't sound glamorous, doesn't have any green electricity or whatever, but I really believe that every organization, every customer that we are working with, we are changing his life, from hospitals to everything. And that's what I did it. So when I made decision, so you can call it intuition, but I was in my purpose. I wanted to change one customer at a time. And it wasn't, yes, I drove my company to 30 million AR, but I thought it was because I was in my purpose. So decisions were really easy for me. It came from my intuition. For me, wanting to change the world. So I think this is the base I usually make decisions from. So I think it's if you're coming from there, it's really easy because you have less. I'm going to not succeed. I'm going to lose or whatever. Of course, I looked at data. Okay, I looked at the data. I looked at the fact, but it did able me to take chances maybe other people wouldn't, because I really was aiming to change the world one customer at a time. So
yeah, and you make an important point. So in some of my talks, I do reference, we've got to pay attention to what is it that excites us, what is it that we're passionate about, because when you come from that level of, when you operate on the level of excitement, of passion, taking those risks, like taking bolder actions, becomes a lot easier. But I first actually just want to explain what intuition is and how we typically make decisions, because normally a lot of us are conditioned to use our logical, our rational minds. And I'm not dismissing importance of that. We actually had a chat about it just earlier. I do think logic is important, especially when we make decisions that are, that we've made before, right? So it's nothing new we're trying to do. We're just literally replicating, copying and pasting things over and over. Or maybe we've just got a long history of doing the same thing. So it's more of like a repetitive process or slight changes. But when it comes to creating something bigger, when we don't have this solid data and feedback is ambiguous, and especially also when decisions are centered around people evaluating job opportunities, even buying a house, entering a certain relationship, I believe that logic isn't enough. And that's when we really have to trust that intuition, because the way intuition works, it bypasses our logical analytical minds, which is very linear, and it accesses our subconscious mind. And our subconscious mind, it stores all of the data, everything that we've seen and witnessed from the time we were born. And in addition to it, it also processes data like something, I think, 27,000 times faster than a logic mind does. So not only we have access to that information, which is within us already, we don't need to go and Google about it. We don't need to get anything, that is external from us to validate that. So it comes from within us and it's instant. And that's why it helps us to make decisions faster especially in unpredictable and challenging situations. So, I'm just, obviously we spoke about AI and organizations. So I'm quite curious, Siri, to hear your perspective on, on decision-making when it comes from business side.
So, that AI is here and AI is changing the world. Currently, it's a point in junction in organization evolution. It's time that we would understand that the hype is that AI is all about productivity. It's all about productivity. It's all about efficiency and repetitive tasks. And what we don't understand is that we create thoughts. And for the first time in human history, we have a living, I don't know if I would call him a living organism, but I would definitely call him an entity that actually creates thoughts. It creates decision. It gives us information with already a recommendative voice. This is the pattern. This is what you do. Look at the people. He's successful. He's not successful. And I don't think you will go anywhere or on your office today and nobody's talking about AI. And they don't have AI for hours management, for productivity, for sales. I'm actually specializing in marketing and sales, and I know everything that currently anybody is doing is currently around, with robots sitting on voice calls with us, deciding what email should be sent, writing the email. All of those things, if you will break them down, those are decisions. You had to decide if you're sending an email or not, and now AI is telling you to send an email. It's also telling you what is the personal message that should be sent to a person. All of those little things, those are decisions. And if we're not careful, AI is currently, if we don't understand human behaviors and how people think, which that was exciting to do this with Lena, because Lena actually explained how the human mind works when we're getting or driving to do decisions. AI is doing the same. The only difference between us and AI is we have the ability to go beyond it. And in order to be beyond it, we have to be creative. We have to doubt. We have to ask questions. That's probably what I would tell you to do on a personal level as well, because the only way you can get a new decision is expanding your mind, but especially when it comes to work, because you need to understand your organization need to survive. In order for him to survive, you need to create new things. AI, and that's the only thing we're probably going to agree about, is looking at past information. He can find trends. He read everything. He's sitting on every call. All of those things happen. He can tell you in the past what happened. Okay, he can tell you which product to launch. He can tell you how people are going to react to it. He can tell you what a new demo would look like, what a new email, what a new website. If we're not going to exercise and understand that, we're going to lose our ability to make decisions in the organization. An organization needs to survive. We have numerous names around all of history of organization and actually products and services that were hugely popular and couldn't survive the time because they couldn't innovate, they couldn't change. And AI is a great thing, because for the first time it's taking you all the things that you really, I don't know, really didn't give you, the fulfillment you want. So you actually have the opportunity to do things creatively. Take that opportunity. Don't rely on AI. Don't make AI be your crutches. Ask questions. Look at the configuration of AI, for example. Look at the software. Look at how it's coming to recommendation. Do something that calls A/B testing. A/B testing means that AI is giving me this recommendation. I'm going to also check this because I'm driving to it, because it comes burning from my inside, as Lena said, because there is something that drives me. Do an A/B testing. Check out. Maybe the past cannot predict the future. Always play with it. Ask it questions. A lot of the bots can talk to you right now. So it's giving you a solution. Try to urge it. I know it's hard because in the past days, if we had to do decisions, we had multiple people around the table and we were asking questions and we can urge each other. Why did you get to that decision and what you couldn't? You can do it with AI currently, but there is a limited way that you could. So think about if he was a person actually, and he was sitting next to you, you can imagine, I don't know, the Terminator coming to work. But and then you can try to have a conversation with it and ask him contradicted questions or draw out the different information from the database he's looking at. So my tips for you is to be actually creative. Don't take him for granted. Okay, do an A/B testing, and always look at different insights that are available out there. So if you've got an AI inside, go outside. Check what is going on in the world, see the trends. Make sure you're exercising your creativity, because that's what is the organization really need these days.
Yeah, so by the sounds of it, to me, it seems like now, even more than before, creativity, intuition, innovation is more important, right? Because if you don't access these qualities within us, it's like it's going to be logic and logic and it's just going to be like two logical minds kind of like stuck together, right? It's like, here's the outputs, what is the creative solution? And like you say, question it, find different ways. What is the more creative solution? I love it.
So listen, Lena, there is a lot of information that I forgot to tell people on my website called Quantum Cells Science, which I believe in human behavior, and you can find a lot of articles and tips there. But I can tell you that I keep telling people that in order for us to actually understand the point in history we are at, is to look at AI as a new human. We have not a new human, but a new employee. We've got the human employee and we've got the non-human employee. And the things that are make us the same is actually decisions, because they can communicate in email. Think about communication in organization. Most of it is written. And we need to understand that it gives us a huge opportunity. If we don't understand that, organizations are going to actually miss that opportunity. And I'm excited to be there to urge everybody to see that as the new age of the non-human employee.
Yeah, so important. And I just want to just share, because I mean, you shared some great tips on, you know, how to review AI decisions. So then I would love to share a couple of tips, like how do we access our intuition? And I get asked that question a lot, and people are like, I don't know, I can't listen to my intuition. And the thing is, I do want to say to everyone that we are already intuitive. There's like nothing that we need to learn, but we've got to unlearn things. And sometimes it can be pretty challenging, but intuition is just a muscle, you know, like for those of you who run marathons, or maybe you're athletes, I'm just using examples marathon because I think I've spent so many years training for marathons and ultra marathons. It's like, if you are serious about it, you're not just going to go to the gym, push the button on a treadmill and say, it doesn't work, right? You persist, you're building a muscle. And trust me, building intuitive muscle is a lot more fun. And you can start with like small things, you know, maybe like kind of intuitively feeling, what does my family want for dinner? Or what kind of movie I would want to go see with my kids. And, you know, one of the, well, actually two things I would want to share with you is, firstly, I always recommend create an environment that supports your intuition. So in practical terms, what it can look like, let's say you're sitting with this data from AI, from whatever, right? You can't make a decision. It's just you're feeling stuck, or maybe, you know, meeting and you're feeling angry, frustrated. You just don't know how to move forward. So take your mind away from the problem. Go for a walk, go do the dishes, go do yoga, for a run, whatever it is, that in different environments that takes your mind away from this problem, and it opens you up for more creativity, for your senses, you know, to open up and receive more inspiring and creative ideas. And another thing is obviously the slowing down, and that's the big thing. You know, yesterday I was actually doing a talk at a hotel summit in London, and I was talking to people there, a lot of them, like, you know, top managers of this luxury hotels, and they're really busy people. And we're talking about importance of slowing down, because unfortunately, and I was one of these people, we mistakenly believe that being, you know, slowing down means being busy or unproductive. But actually the opposite is true, because when we physically slow down, we energetically speed up. And energy is literally our highest currency. We receive this information when we've got energy. When we are too closed up, when we're feeling drained, we are too busy, this creativity, this inspiration just can't flow to us, or maybe in drips and drabs. But when we open up, when we slow down, when we've got energy, this is when we start getting those intuitive and inspiring ideas. So, I mean, I think, you know, if you do want to cultivate that creativity within yourselves, maybe you're leading a team, do encourage them just to pause, even just 5-10 minutes a day, you know, throughout the day. Do something that feels nurturing and inspiring for them, and see how their creativity flows.
Check us on Instagram. What are you having coffee?
Instagram for more tips on how to develop intuition. There's so many more different ways, and, you know, we will be sharing many of it on our Instagram.
So we hope we expanded your mind today with new conversation and new ideas and new way of thinking. Remember, it's not about right or wrong. It's just about introducing you to new information and to get you to think about stuff differently.
Exactly. And, you know, if you're playing with what Sari suggested, what I've suggested, just treat it more like an experiment, right? It's just something different. And even if, like, the first time you're like, okay, well, I'm going to trust my intuition, I'm going to make this decision, and it doesn't go right, it's just a lesson. It's just a lesson. Just keep on playing with it, you know, keep on experimenting with it. But I promise you, once you've given it your attention and your energy, your entire life can change. So let us know how it goes if you attend it.
It's also fun.
It is fun. More fun than training for marathon.
Exactly. It's fun.
All right, guys, we'll see you in the next video.
Bye.